welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and today I'm joined by a man who always sees things in first person, and his name is Mike Roth.
And it's always inverse, too.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I want to be inside your head and see things.
Yeah, well, it's possible.
Wow. All right.
I've been reading a lot of Deadpool. It does happen, yes.
All right, cool. Well, we'll talk more about what's inside people's heads shortly. But first, we have a few things to talk about on the marquee. First up this week, we're talking about the new movie from Melissa McCarthy, directed by her husband, Ben Falcone. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about The Boss. Melissa McCarthy plays this big inspirational speaker woman, and who goes to prison. Early on in the movie, she goes to jail, and her assistant, played by Kristen Bell, she dedicates her life to helping out Melissa McCarthy, to the detriment of her family life and her own personal everything going on with her. It's all whatever she needs. Melissa McCarthy gets out of jail. She is broke.
Yeah.
She has nowhere to live. Mm-hmm. Her house has been boarded up. And so she moves in with young Kristen Bell, and hilarity ensues. We also have Peter Dinklage is in this movie as her nemesis, Melissa McCarthy's longtime nemesis / love interest, maybe. Mm-hmm. And you have Tyler Labine, who plays Kristen Bell's boyfriend, guy who enters the picture partway into the movie.
Yeah.
Offers a little bit of comedy to the proceedings. Mm-hmm. And the thing with this movie is, if you're looking for something different from Melissa McCarthy, you're not going to get it here.
No.
No.
Was this inspired by the true events of Martha Stewart?
I mean,
or is this a reboot of the Tony Danza show? I don't know.
What really amazes me is that I think Melissa McCarthy is a funny lady. I think she's talented. Mm-hmm. I've seen her do good things. And it amazes me that she is so willing to typecast herself, and that she is in the, now this may sound bad, but look, I'm a big boy, I can say this. She's in the fatty fall down role that Chris Farley and John Candy and a lot of these that you get pigeonholed in, and it's tough to break out of that role. And the fact that this movie and Tammy, one of her other recent movies, were both directed by her husband, and puts her right into that same pigeonhole. It blows my mind that she allows that to happen.
It seems like it's been like this for quite a long time. I don't recall seeing her in any other role lately.
No, I mean, really, the last time I saw her, in Mike and Molly, which I never watched, but I've been kind of seeing more recently in reruns and such. Mm-hmm. Oh, she can act. She's a funny lady. In Spy, in the second half of Spy, the first half was very much her getting stuck in wet cement, all that stuff. Yeah. Second half, she got her oomph to her, was telling people off. She was really good. We enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
This movie, I felt like, started that way, opened up with her being really, really brassy, really bossy, and then of course a Murphy bed throws her through a wall, and she falls down here and falls down there.
But even when she was being assertive, all her jokes I felt were just stale rerun jokes. I really thought the funniest people were actually third
tertiary characters.
Yeah, I really liked Tyler Labine, who was
he was the boyfriend,
and Cedric Yarbird, who played the Yes Men.
Yes,
and
he was funny.
He was funny, but he wasn't used very much. And like I said, he is like not even a secondary character. He's a third way down the list type character.
And that's where the laughs were.
Yeah. Their main laughs, which they were showing over and over again on the trailers, actually fell really short. It was actually kind of ruined the movie.
Because none of them are things that you haven't seen before. They're all really familiar. Every time I see someone with a Murphy bed, a bed that might be able to fold up, you know somebody's going up into a wall. You know that bed's going to throw somebody.
Yeah.
Just all of these jokes, even the jokes that you get in the trailer between her and Kristen Bell as Kristen Bell's about to go on her date and they're playing with the bras. There's some funny there, but it just kind of, it was exhausting to get through.
Well, you also had the scene of the Girl Scouts
the big fight,
which was horrible. And then they did another fight later on, and I'm not going to spoil it, but and that also just felt awkwardly placed and poorly acted. You had some great material by other people, but not by any of your main characters, which is pretty sad for a comedy.
Right. I mean, the whole gist of the story is that she comes out, she stabs Kristen Bell in the back, and there's the whole animosity. Peter Dinklage is behind a lot of things, and I liked the moments between Melissa McCarthy and Peter Dinklage. I thought that was a lot of fun chemistry between the two of them, and this weird sexual tension would start to build between them. I liked that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you only got about 8 minutes of it, and I really liked him. Kristen Bell, who I really enjoy normally, it honestly felt like it could have been any actress in Hollywood playing this role because she brought nothing to it. And that's unfortunate because I like her, and she has a lot of charisma to her, and she just kind of felt like helpless in this role.
I kind of wanted Peter Dinklage to do a little bit more. I've seen him. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and I know he just can't be that character for everything I see. I mean, it would be totally impossible, but he can do serious. He can be a legitimate actor, and he's doing things like short person jokes for, what was that?
Pixels?
Pixels. Elf, and stuff like that. He is a talented actor, and I don't know, that's probably Hollywood not really giving him the roles, but he should do them. He's a fantastic actor.
This movie relied way too heavily on pratfalls and all too familiar jokes, and there was nothing new in this for me. There was some laughs, like you mentioned, from some of the third characters, and I kind of liked some of the things towards the end. There was some really aggressive scenes towards the end that I liked.
I like that whole outfit that that Mike Beals he was wearing, and that Cedric Yardbird when he's just yes-manning everything Melissa said.
McCarthy's
that was
turtlenecks were a character into themselves, too. They were really...
but they never mentioned them.
No, but they were instantly and predominantly distracting through the entire movie.
Yeah.
It was creepy.
Yeah. They would had to have glued this to.
Yeah, there was a lot of gaffer's tape holding this turtleneck up to her chin, but... Anyways, we've spent enough time on The Boss. What did you give this movie?
I give it a 2. It was below par. There was some funny moments, but not enough where I'd watch this movie again.
I agree with you 100%. I give it 2 stars as well.
Wow, you're correct.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad to be. All right, moving on. What do you have on the marquee?
Well,
sir?
I have kind of a surprise. Hardcore Henry. It's a point of view movie, all taken from Henry. He wakes up kind of RoboCop style, where there is a doctor kind of fixing them together. You find out that doctor is his wife. Ooh. And in an emergency, he has to run because Aiken, who is this kind of mutant, I can't really say, or metahuman, depending on what franchise you want to go with, he has special powers and he's attacking this facility.
He's basically Magneto.
Hardcore Henry needs to get out of here and then kind of turn things around so he can get his revenge. And it is a really fun movie. This, like I said, this entire movie is point of view. This nearly was entirely shot with a GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition cameras.
Ooh.
It is fun. It's like RoboCop mixed with Crank. If you like either one of those movies, this is probably something that's going to be up your alley. The one huge problem I had with it is the real obvious thing is I get sick when I see movies like this. It shakes, it rolls around. This is a roller coaster ride in actuality. Yeah. If you have a hard time gutting through things like this, it's still a lot of fun.
It's disorienting at first.
Yeah.
It is exactly like a video game. It's watching someone play a video game to the point that Henry he's got a battery level. He's got power-ups that he gets throughout.
Yep.
He's got checkpoints and guys coming down like, hey, here's what you got to do next. Here's the next boss you've got to go find.
Yeah.
All right. He can't talk, which plays in perfectly to the video game thing where you don't have to worry about talking back. It's just people feeding information to you.
It brings the audience into it because you
take on the place
Henry,
of him.
yeah.
And, but the big issue with that is the way he moves his head just bothered me.
Yeah.
Because if I'm focused on somebody's talking to me, and I shake my head no like you saw in the trailer, my eyes don't move with my head. They stay focused on whatever it is. My head can move. Try it right now. Your head can move, and your eyes can stay focused. And so that felt disorienting for no reason by doing that.
On top of that is also frame rate. Now, remember playing video games like GoldenEye when you were a kid?
Oh, do I.
Great game, but they made you sick because the frame rates were down to 30. It's improved a lot since then, and they found out people could stomach the first-person point of view if you increase that frame rate.
Right.
If this movie was in 4K and had a way of shooting this with stability so it works like a human eye and not like something that's fixated to a box, because that's what a camera is. This could have been a fantastic movie because, like I said, I had a lot of fun.
As it is, I was actually surprised by how well it worked. Like I said, I was disoriented at first. I got through it. One of my favorite actors, Charlton Copley, is in this movie.
Yeah.
In a lot of really interesting ways. That's all I'm going to say. And he chooses some of the most interesting roles in interesting movies to me. He loves taking these quirky things on, and he was great. Every scene, he was stealing scenes left and right, and just a lot of fun. Every time he showed up on the screen, I'm like, there he is, all right.
And this is...
And he's basically the only guy you know in this movie.
And this is fun. There's not a serious moment in this movie.
No, it is a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
I loved little things like the way that they used all different types of music, depending on the level of the game that you're on, basically, determined, and the different boss that you're fighting and such. All of a sudden, different music would come out. I like that. You got, like, the headshot level where you've got to start taking headshots. I mean, it was like playing any of these games.
I like, just like in a video game, the star is you. If you're going to pick out the star of this, it's actually random because it's just tons of stuntmen. And fun fact, the crew only got 5 stitches and 1 chipped tooth.
And there's a lot of big-time action in this.
There
a lot
is.
of big action.
It's
fairly gruesome.
There's some.
The movie is pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely gruesome. But just like I said with RoboCop and Crank, it's that same kind of mentality. You're going to have blood. You're going to have guts. You're going to have nudity. You're going to have breakneck pace through the whole thing. Yeah. Charlton Copley makes it funny. Yeah. Really makes it shine. Seeing Aiken, who is played by Daniela Kowalski.
Sure, you got it.
I'm going to let you know I didn't mention the director's name because I'd really have to try to slur it. He's a Russian guy.
Yep.
This actually kind of started with group funding and stuff like that, which I find is amazing. And once they got this done, there was they were competing on who was going to distribute this movie. I think that's awesome.
I like the unexpected song and dance number that you get in a movie like this. You would never expect.
No.
I was never expecting that moment to come. Sure enough, and it was great. It was better than anticipated to me. We never really find out. You never find out who Henry is.
No.
You never see Henry, so you never have to put the face. So like you say, you are Henry because you never see a face. He never looks in the mirror. And you're like, oh, that's what my guy looks like. And so it was actually way better expected. I was kind of dreading this. My only issue really is, other than the head tilting thing, is that once I got past the disoriented phase, I had a lot of fun, but a bit of the novelty started to wear off after a while. You know, especially as we got to like the climax of the movie as he's fighting pseudo Magneto. But yeah, it was better than I thought.
And also, might as well throw this out too. In select theaters, they're giving away free comic books that explain why Magneto got his. And his name's not Magneto, but he's pretty much exactly like Magneto. How he got his powers, and it's really a fun comic for something that's absolutely free.
Check that out.
So take advantage of that. I don't think they're going to last long.
Sure. So ultimately, we give out scores. I gave it 3.5.
Yeah?
With a caveat. 3.5. I'll never rewatch this movie. This is a movie, it's a one and done for me.
I'm giving it a 3, and I'm going to watch it again because I'm hoping a smaller screen does not make me as sick.
Yeah, I'll never watch this movie a second time.
I really love this movie. How can you really love something that makes you ill at the same time?
I agree. The final movie we have on the marquee this week is a movie called Demolition from director Jean-Marc Vallée, starring Jake Gyllenhaal as a man named Davis. Davis, very early in the movie basically opens with a tragedy where his wife is killed in a car accident to basically open the movie, and life becomes very difficult for him. His father-in-law is played by Chris Cooper, and his father-in-law is grieving hard throughout this movie for the loss of his daughter. And Davis grieves differently than other people. Everything, I mean, immediately after the tragedy, everything starts to trigger memories for him. But nothing really means anything to him. And as his character starts to develop, you start to see that he really doesn't have emotion. He's built up this wall of... It feels like he brought a lot of the Louis Bloom character from Nightcrawler with him into this role, where it's almost like, this is how you act to be normal, so I'll act to be normal.
Actually, the way I saw it, he did care about things, but the way in order to protect himself, the things he cared about were meaningless things. Like the letters he was writing was to the vending company because he lost like $1.50.
Right,
and
but that's how he was grieving.
Important. That was how he was grieving. He took minor things in life,
but you see
make them major.
You see the great scene where he's standing in a mirror trying to force himself to cry because he knows, I should be crying. I should be really sad that my wife is dead, but I'm not. Nothing's coming out. And so it's really weird moments like that. And so like you mentioned the vending machine company, that's kind of like our pseudo narration is through the auspices of him writing this letter to this vending machine company that stole his money from a vending machine in the hospital where his wife died. And so he starts ranting and raving to this, and this is kind of our narration to get inside of his head. And you start to find out as this movie goes along that he's kind of been living a life that he's been kind of divorced from. That like he is just kind of going through the motions of his life. He hasn't really been living life. He starts to realize, I haven't enjoyed anything that I've done in my life. I just do things that I think people think I should do. My father-in-law gives me a job, so I guess that's what I'm doing now is that, even though I don't like it, but I just do it.
Yeah.
And it's just a man going through his motions, and you get this first crack of emotion from him. He's on the train, and he starts talking to a stranger, and he starts opening up. And really starts telling this guy way too much information about his life and his wife, and maybe I didn't love my wife and this and that. And then Naomi Watts' character, who is the lady at the vending machine company, responds to him because he sends an abundance of letters about, about your vending machine.
He becomes a little obsessive about it.
And it feels like because he's put up all these walls and these false fronts that he can only talk to strangers.
Yeah.
That he's never connected with another person, a real person.
I found his character extremely interesting. I liked how I felt like I was experiencing a slow demise into insanity, because that's pretty much what he was doing. His priorities, I saw flip, and I could see him being cold to things that he really needed to work through, but he wasn't ready to work through them at that time. He could handle things like the vending company. He could handle things like wondering how things work and failing at fixing it. But he couldn't handle the true questions he had. And those questions were, did I even love my wife in the first place? Why can't I feel sorrow? And I found that extremely interesting. The one thing I didn't like about the movie is somewhere in the middle, it felt like his spiraling into insanity was something to be jovial about, to kind of enjoy, and he did quirky things.
See, I don't think it was like spiraling into insanity, though, because I think that at one point there was an awakening finally. And like he mentions in the movie that suddenly he starts noticing things that he's never noticed before. He starts to really enjoy life all of a sudden. And that's right around the time Naomi Watts comes into his life and gives him an outlet. And he starts to notice things about life and, well, look at this, and isn't this amazing? Smell this. Starts to have fun, and he also meets her son, who it very much feels like her kid is who he wishes he could be. He wishes he could be as free as that kid and do what he does. And there's a lot of really fun moments between the two of them. There's some really priceless moments between the two of them as you have this grown man who is in the mentality of a grade schooler at some points, and this kid who is looking for someone to be there for him, but also is rebelling against it all. And I like them together.
Actually, I disagree with you on that part, because at those points that I think the direction really wanted people to feel like it was having fun, I looked at it as dangerous irresponsibility and selfishness. He was taking it to a point that was beyond repairable, which could be beyond repairable.
So the title of the movie is Demolition, and it's because, at one point Chris Cooper tells him, you got to tear your heart apart. Sometimes, to fix your heart, you got to tear it down, and like a car engine.
Yeah.
Figure out what's wrong, put it back together. And so he takes it very literally. And I like it because, he goes over the top. He tears apart everything. But he's not gentle in how he takes things apart because we're shown he's never used his hands before, ever.
Yeah, true.
And so he tears everything apart in a not-so-gentle way. He starts ripping everything apart because he's curious. He wants to know what's going on. He starts finding, I think because he's never felt pain before, he's always been this numb, just kind of going through life, that pain starts to become joyful to him. You see, he steps on a nail, and he loves it. He's living now. He feels something. And I think that it does a good job of focusing really on that there's no right and wrong way to grieve. Mm-hmm. That we all go through the process differently. This was his process, and it took him feeling a lot of pain. It took him demolishing a lot of things to start to figure out his life and start to put it back together again.
Yeah. I unfortunately, I didn't feel that. I understand that's what the director wanted. At the end of the movie, it started picking up again where I felt like where the movie always should have been on. It's just a segment in the middle that probably lasted about 40 minutes, maybe a half hour, that I thought was a little off the rails. And I didn't like the character that Jake Gyllenhaal was playing anymore.
Really?
It turned
I
around.
dug him a lot.
It turned around in the end. Well, I like Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, I mean, I dug this
Actor,
character. I thought this character was really... I connected with this character in a lot of ways.
I connected a lot in the beginning, and I connected a lot at the end. But in the middle, I couldn't see... I understand why he did some of these things. I just could not feel the feelings the director wanted me to feel.
I mean, I like the fact even that they address, like, they show, like, when he was married, he would do this weird thing where they focused on, like, he would shave his body in the morning, you know? And it's very much like, this is what I'm supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. And then I go to the gym because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then as he's grieving and as this numbness is washed over him and he's realizing that I've never really done anything in my life, he grows his beard out. He doesn't take care of himself. And it is a natural step in grieving and the catharsis that he has in just tearing things apart.
Yeah.
And I mentioned his character from Nightcrawler because I felt like he brought some of that to him. Like there are moments where you see zero emotion behind his eyes.
Yeah.
That the social awkwardness that he has, and like this is how I'm supposed to act normal. Much like Louis Bloom in Nightcrawler would like, this is how normal people talk and act, right? He felt like that when dealing with Chris Cooper, and like at one point he walks in on an interview and it's like, this is what normal people do, right? It's like, no, you're insane. This isn't right.
Yeah, this isn't working for us.
I really dug it, and there was something about it that I really connected with this movie.
I'll probably rewatch this movie. Like I said, the beginning and the end I thought was just brilliant. It was very powerful. It was poetry. Just a section in the middle just wasn't grabbing me like I know what the director wanted.
Sure. So ultimately, what did you give Demolition?
I gave it a 3, and I think you should give it a shot. I really do. 3 is good, but I mean, people really should check this out.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I walked out of there really feeling something for this movie. Yeah, part of it is that Jake Gyllenhaal, I've said it before, the guy's just become one of my favorite actors, and I really enjoy watching him. I think he's pretty incredible at capturing the spirit of his characters.
We gotta give it a Marvel superhero for him.
He was supposed to be in Suicide Squad.
Really?
And had to drop out to do Nightcrawler? No, not
Fun fact.
something else.
Again,
he was replaced by Tom Hardy, I believe. Took his role.
Oh.
Yeah, he was supposed to be.
Yeah, you can't really complain about that.
Yeah, but yeah, he was supposed to be in it originally. But yeah, I dug this movie, so I would highly recommend that. Taking a look back though, a little throwback, sir, off of people who handle situations a little differently, a little social awkwardness.
Yeah.
I thought we might throw back to 1993. What do you think about that? Do you have any movies from 93 that ring a bell?
Well, there was this little movie that I really obsessed about for a while called Falling Down. Are you talking about that? With
That'll
Michael
work.
Douglas?
That'll work. We can do that.
His life well, you introduce it. You already started. I could go on, but
it's basically it's Michael Douglas as just your normal guy going through his day, and things are not going his way, and he is not happy. And it seems like just normal guy problems that he just keeps running into roadblocks trying to get home on a hot day out in L.A. And Michael Douglas, he goes a little crazy. He snaps a few times.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Just like in Demolition, there is one incident that happens in Michael Douglas. No, I'm not going to give you it. He loses his job, and he really didn't have much of a life. It was pretty much his job was his life, and that was his breaking point. And after that, he doesn't let anything slide. Yeah. He doesn't like rude people. He doesn't like traffic jams. He doesn't like construction. And he goes on to this wild tangent of destruction.
Rampage.
And what I love about the movie literally was the end. I thought was the most powerful part is when they have him and they stop them. He doesn't realize he's the bad guy. Yeah. And Michael Douglas portrays this awesome where he's confused that What do you mean? I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I've been
he doesn't see it. He's like, I'm just a guy.
No, he doesn't see it.
Like a vigilante almost. Like, I'm righting wrongs in the world.
And when I saw that in the movie, I got chills up because I was like, so great. I think that rings true to a lot of people who do bad things. They're just confused. They think that's how it's supposed to be, but it's not.
And this movie is basically, I mean, you have people coming in and out, but it is Michael Douglas on screen 95% of the time, just acting the snot out of this role. I mean, this is my favorite Michael Douglas role. It really is. This is I think his most complete character, where I'm just enthralled by him. He's done amazing movies. He's Michael Douglas.
He did a lot of great things in the 90s.
Right. But this movie always sticks with me. And because it is that earnest attitude that he has going through, where you're kind of like, he is a vigilante, righting wrongs. You know, why can't my sandwich look like the one up there?
Yeah.
All I want is my sandwich to look there. Why am I the bad guy? Because I want this? And you kind of find yourself rooting for him at points. Like, yeah, you know what? That kind of ticks me off too.
But you never take it to the point.
Exactly. But
you would never.
He kind of is supposed to be doing the things that you wouldn't do. The things that you sit and yell in your car about, but he does it. And like you say, that revelation at the end is great.
But at the same time, even though you're kind of rooting for him, you're also not rooting for him because he's getting closer and closer to his daughter's birthday party. And everybody sees what kind of person he is. He thinks he's doing good, but we know in his mind what's good might not be good when he finally gets to that birthday party. So you're scared for his family. You're also kind of rooting for him. And you're also rooting for the cops that are going to catch him because he is doing terrible things in the name of what he believes is good.
And what's really incredible to me is this is a Joel Schumacher movie, 1993 Joel Schumacher. This is right in the same period as Joel Schumacher, Batman and Robin. Joel Schumacher. I mean, the fact that you could have two such different things going on in direction. I thought this was wonderfully directed. The other end of it, not so much. Pretty wild how one man can direct two such different things. But Falling Down is a phenomenal movie that we highly recommend
Definitely
checking out.
check that out.
Yeah, well worth looking at. So let's take a look at what is coming soon, the weekend of April 22nd. We have two movies coming out that week, Mike. The first one is a prequel, actually, to a movie that came out a couple years ago, The Snow White and the Huntsman. We have The Huntsman, The Winter's War.
I don't know what to think about this yet.
I don't know. It's got a cast that I really enjoy. If you put Emily Blunt in a movie, I'm going to see it.
I really like Maleficent, which is the same director and writer, correct?
Maybe. Could be. Don't put me on the spot like that.
Okay, sorry.
But it's basically the telling of how Snow White came to be, the witch and the magic mirror, and Emily Blunt and the huntsman, played by Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth.
They have been really hitting the Snow White movie a little bit too much. It's been done already in the past
I still haven't
recently.
seen a lot of good dwarves. I want to see some dwarves in these.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Come on, man.
Yeah, sorry.
And also the second movie coming out that weekend, Elvis and Nixon. Movie about the great meeting when Elvis showed up at the White House with a gun to give to Richard Nixon.
That's crazy.
I love it.
But
Michael Shannon's
crazy.
in it, and I love me some Michael Shannon. So those are the movies coming soon, the weekend of April 22nd. Before we leave, we want to thank Marcus Theaters. Marcus Theaters here in Sun Prairie, the Palace, is wonderful with their Dream Lounger seats. We do enjoy them. So
I also want to thank Wizard World. I mean,
oh man, we didn't even think. Next week we're going to talk about Wizard World. I'm sorry, I pinched this for time.
But we had some unfortunate thing. But stay tuned. That's your,
Next
we're
week
going
we
to hook
will
you in
actually
because
have
I know
more.
you want to hear about our time at Wizard
World, definitely. So, oh man, thank you for reminding me. Way too late.
Yeah. Well,
we'll be talking about it next week, though.
Interesting.
I promise. But yeah, you can find more from us on Facebook and on Twitter. Real Reviews TV will find you wherever you need to go there. Next week, we're going to be talking about Barbershop 3. We're going to be talking about Convict. And
that looks good.
And what's the last one? The
Jungle Book.
Look out. Looking forward to that. Plus, the Wisconsin Film Fest is in town. I might be talking about a little of that, too.
And we're going to be talking about Comic-Con. This is going to be a stuffed show. You got to tune in.
Tune in for sure. So, until then, though, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.